Thanks for joining in the session today. We're managing and planning events in Wrike. We've got a question up on the screen there for you. If you want to answer that for us, please, what you hope to get out of the session today and what sorts of events are you running? I'll be trying to review those as we progress through this. It's nice to have you all here today, like I said. My name is Alex Homer. I am a Customer Success Strategic Program Lead here out of APJ. We've got Kim Cameron, who will be facilitating the session for us today. She's a senior professional services consultant with us, and she'll be going through the nitty-gritty bits and going through the details with us. I'll let her do a proper introduction in a moment. Now, the session today will go for 30 minutes. We encourage you to ask questions throughout, and if there's an opportunity for us to kind of interrupt Kim as she's kind of going through it, we'll certainly try to be able to make that happen. Otherwise, we'll save the questions for the Q&A bit towards the end. Please, this session is being recorded. And like I said, I encourage you to get involved in Zoom. Down the very bottom, there's an option there for Q&A, and we'd love to hear from you. Now, before I kick all things off, the objectives of this session, like I said, is a two-part session. Part one today, we'll be going through leveraging blueprints, custom item types, and custom fields that will help you tailor and plan your event. And by the end of part two, which will be running in a couple of weeks, we want to be setting up powerful automations off the back of what we've seen today, utilizing calendars and Wrike's advanced visualized reports, get a bit of a feel of what those are about. Now, we want you to know that there are stacks of people that are using Wrike to actually manage and plan their events. And one of them, of course, is Goodwood. You may have heard of them. Goodwood came to Wrike with having no real process. They're managing ad hoc tasks. They're scrambling to ensure everything's in the right place and kind of making sure that everything's completed on time before they kick off an event. And of course, when they've got different versions of plans, I can only imagine when you get to event day and people are trying to figure out what's happening on the day with different versions of what's supposed to be happening, it could be an absolute nightmare. So Wrike's helped them put together a one-stop shop, essentially, for keeping all of their event plans, all their project management solutions. And eventually they've predefined all their workflows. They've put together dashboards and with the ability to track and monitor what they're up to. And they've got reports that have kind of helped them figure out how much time they've spent and what's coming up on the roadmap for them. The result is a greater transparency across departments. They've streamlined their processes and they've got more effective time. So they've got their time now to effectively plan and use the put together a program, essentially, or an event, should I say. Now, we've heard from Celine Curra, their event operations manager, who said that our man hours are more productive because we're not spending time going backwards, searching emails, trying to draw out correct information. So with that, how's Goodwood putting all of this together? Well, I'm going to hand it over to Kim Cameron, who will take over and share and let us know how to put this all together in Wrike. Kim, over to you.
Absolutely. Hello, everyone. Alex, thanks for the introduction. As mentioned, I am a senior professional services consultant with Wrike, and I've been actually using Wrike since 2016. I take my experience as a former client using Wrike in a creative services team and leveraging that knowledge to help teams just like yourself learn how to wield Wrike with precision. And that's what gets me excited for my day. And I'm excited to be here with you to talk a little bit about event planning. So with that, let me take over the screen share.
Over to you then, Kim.
When they say 3 and then they show me a weird different screen. There we go. Take my face off because we don't want to look at that. All right, here we are in my demo environment. If you had joined us for the previous session on learning about making effective dashboards for approvals, you might find some of this familiar. Just to give everybody a little bit of context, I do have Wrike Lightspeed enabled. So if things look a little bit different from my screen than what you see at home, that is why. If you're interested in experiencing Lightspeed, we do have a handy dandy little toggle button that you can go turn that on and get the latest and greatest. With that in mind, we are looking at the active events folder. I put some information in here that we actually are, so be it, hosting an event today. That's the event that we're doing right now. I had an event yesterday and we've got one tomorrow. I wanted to demonstrate to you a couple of different things that we have in the system here right off the bat before we dive into the nitty-gritty parts. We can see here in this table view, high level, the events, the dates that they're happening. We can see the high level status of the events, and also inside the different tasks that we're using to plan, to manage, and report on the different activities that we have leading up to and post event. Additionally, we have some custom item types that I'll walk you through, talking about different delivery ranges, regions, locations, the venue. And we're also going to be leveraging a really special one called the calendar to make sure that our event dates get into a calendar the way that we want to. So that's a little bit of the setup. Now, the scenario that I'd like to walk folks through is starting with the blueprint. Now, let's remember blueprints, templates, those two words are used interchangeably in my world. So if I use them that way for you during this call, please, think about them as the same thing. So blueprints are repeatable work that we don't want to create the wheel over and over again, right? So in this case, this team has two basic kinds of events that they run. They have simple events and they have complex events. Just expand the folder structure here a little bit, and we can see that complex events are broken out into phases so that let's just go take a look, so that the additional bits and pieces that we have can be managed. So if we've got a drip campaign going with social and email, we can see the coordination that goes in there for that. But I want to keep it simple for the purposes of this call. And so we'll just look at the simple event management. So what do I have
Now,
going?
Kim,
Question.
sorry to interrupt you there. Yeah. I have got a question. I have got a question because there's someone that's dropped in with a bit of a request at the very beginning of it all, hoping to understand how to standardize event planning with Wrike. And I wanted to kind of utilize this moment because given that blueprints are kind of crucial to that, I guess. How do we get to blueprints? And for those, if you're completely novice to Wrike, how would I even get to seeing blueprints in the first place?
Absolutely. Great question. Thanks for having me back up a little bit. So here I am just kind of, let's go to my inbox. Let's back it up even further. So if you're in your inbox or your homepage, depending on which version of Wrike you're using, to navigate to your blueprints, there are a couple of different ways. In the older version, you'll see there's a 9-pad launch pad, like in the upper right-hand corner next to the green plus button. You'll see blueprints listed there. And for folks who have the hamburger menu in the upper left-hand corner, if you click on that, you'll see blueprints listed in the far bottom. For those who are using Lightspeed, we can see that blueprints is listed here on the left-hand side in the directory. I'm going to click on that here. And if I choose the blueprints overview, that shows me, we wait for it to load, basically everything that is inside that has been shared with me. So let's remember a best practice that any blueprints that you create in the blueprint space are private to you until you share them out with others. So if you're collaborating with somebody else on your events team and you want to make sure that we're working on a single source of truth for that events template to standardize the different steps that you want to take in that event planning, that's one way to get that done. So here, I'm not going to keep sitting on that. We've got a folder structure in here for the marketing and comms team. I like to think that the organization back here should be similar to how you organize your spaces so that everything can kind of be kept together, which is why you'll see creative blueprints, event blueprints, marketing blueprints, all kind of under the same umbrella. And so from there in the folder structure, I've got the two different versions of my event blueprints that I've created, the simple one and the complex one. All right, so we've gotten into the blueprint that I've made. It's a project level blueprint. We know that because we can see it listed in the folder structure here on the left-hand side, and it's also bold inside the table view. Whenever you're in a table view, anything that's bold is a folder or a project, and anything that is not bolded will be a task. I'm a visual person, so I like to know that. Okay, so here is what we're looking at. We've got some tasks. We've got the kickoff all the way through to the event actually happening, right? Those might be familiar tasks for those in the room. And then on the right here, as I scroll over a little bit, we can see that I'm leveraging a custom field here called Event Calendar. The reason why I'm doing that is because for this task called Event Date, I have it checked. This is going to allow me to leverage this custom field later when we talk about calendars so that I can have a high level view and leadership and all my stakeholders can also get insight into what events are happening and what date they're happening on. We don't necessarily want to clutter the calendar with all of the pre-planning and production work when we just want to get that high level view to what's happening. We can also see we're leveraging event type, production delivery range as other custom fields so that we can use automations and other filtering to make sure that we really get down to the tasks that we're looking for when coming to configure ease of use with this particular blueprint. Most of you are
Kim,
probably, yes.
sorry to interrupt you there, Kim. Sorry, there was a moment there. I was like, "Oh, can I jump in now?"
Yeah. It's
Um,
interjecting, not interrupting. You got it.
thank you. And I'll take a moment step back. By the way, if I need to add a new custom field, how do I possibly go about it?
Absolutely. So let's take a
And
look here. We're
by
in
the
the
way,
table.
for anybody else in this room, if you have any questions, keep bringing them through into the Q&A section down the bottom there. Thanks for the folks that are dropping them in already.
Absolutely. So here I'm in the table view, right? We have the new table view, and you may have the old table view depending on what you're working with. When dealing with custom fields, table view is my jam because I can see all of the data in one place and I can manipulate it in the ways that I want to. So to Alex's question there, how do we add more custom fields or data to this blueprint, right? So let's walk through a scenario. Here we can see listed at the top our fields drop down. Select this, and right away we get access to the out-of-the-box data points that Wrike gives every company, right? You get assignee status, due date, and a few others. Now, the custom fields that I created are also going to be listed here down at the bottom. So you can see that there are a lot that have been made, but we need to make a new one, right? So I'm going to choose this plus custom field here at the top. For those who are in the old view, right, you're going to use the gear icon on the left-hand side, right next to the name column. Scroll all the way down to the bottom and you'll see Manage Custom Fields. And from there, you'll be able to create a new one. All right, so for those of you who have managed to get this far, we can see that the first thing we need to do is give this field a name. So maybe we need to do reporting type as a new request that leadership has come down. As you can see in this blueprint, there is no reporting or follow-up or postmortem for our simple events, and that is a problem. So we need to get in on that. So let's create a field name called reporting type, and let's go ahead and look at the different types of data that we can choose from. I don't know about you, but sometimes when you type in a number into Excel and you're like, yeah, that's totally a number. That's a value. And Excel goes, oh, is that a date? You're like, no, Excel, it's not. This is your opportunity to do similarly where you define what the cell is. You do that with the custom field here as well. So if it's a date, make sure we say that this is a date so that the values that go in there are date values. Same with numbers and currencies, so on. I'm going to just go with single select to keep things simple here. And let's go ahead and do like, right, analyze as a report type. Let's also do PowerPoint because some folks still have to do that. Maybe let's do Excel just because I was talking about it. All right, so here are a couple different report types that we have out there. We also have the option to turn on colors, right? So for my visually inspired folks, maybe we want to come in here and make some adjustments to the way things are going with that. And then also what I like is that you can see wherever there's Braille inside the system here, you're able to click and grab it and drag and reorder things, right? So if you're like, oh, we need to get things a little bit more alphabetical here, let's go ahead and do that. You do have the option to add other values here to let people do that. Sometimes that's needed, but I'm not a huge fan, especially when it comes to data integrity. The reason why is, well, you notice the way I wrote PowerPoint. Maybe somebody wants to type it in like this, or maybe somebody wants to type it in as Power Prezi. I don't know. People have different ideas of what things are. And when it comes down to reporting, it is really important that you keep things as consistent as possible. And so while there's times for this, I'm just going to say no, thank you. Default aggregation, you can call that out the gate if you want things to sum an average for certain custom field types. This right now belongs to the entire account. That's great. I want everybody inside the account to be able to leverage reporting type. That doesn't matter if you're on the creative team, if you're on the events team, or if you're on the marketing team. All those reporting types are valid. So I want to make sure everybody has access to that. Right now, this is applying to task projects and folders, which is good. I want to make sure everybody can access that at every level, and we're sharing this with everyone. So I'll go ahead and create that, and we can see it right away listed at the bottom of my drop down here. And then if I scroll to the right, we can see that listed here in the table. Since I am in my blueprints, I like to do this thing, which is kind of called like pre-baking stuff. So when we get to adding the report thing here into the blueprint, I'll show you how that comes together. So I mentioned that this event blueprint, this template doesn't have any postmortem for the event, and that is a problem, right? So we need to add and adjust this blueprint. Now, keep in mind, most teams adjust their blueprints 5 or 6 times before they settle on something that they really, really like. And with the way that things change and how fast business is going these days, your processes and the way that you do work will change just as quickly. So you need to be able to come into your blueprints and adjust them on the fly as you go through your organizational changes, right? And so here we have the ability to do that with the plus item. Plus item, what are we talking about here? So most of us are familiar with tasks and with projects. We have this thing called custom item types, which if talking about projects and tasks is not a natural vernacular for you and your team, leveraging a custom item type can help you rename a task or a project into a bug or into an event or a marketing alert or an event date. You can see those listed here on the left where I've surfaced the event type. I've gone through and created several different custom item types to give an identity to these tasks so that I can then create automations against them. So here I'm going to create a new one so that we can walk through that together. Switch
That was
tabs.
perfect timing, Kim, because someone just kind of asked, hey, how do we go creating a custom item type in a blueprint? So that was perfect timing there. Like, that's a great little segue. So thanks, person. This is the person that dropped that through there.
I always joke that that's the next question. That's the segue to the next topic.
Perfect.
All right, so in my environment, it is robustly built out. There is a lot going on in here. So let me draw your attention to the ones that are relevant to this conversation. We have an event type here. This is a project type, right? So if we're thinking about the universe and the building blocks, right? These are the little atoms floating around. We've got projects and tasks. I have event date as a task type, event planning, event vendor, right? Let's make a new one. So up here in the upper left-hand corner, and for those of you who are wondering where I got this is in the settings. So avatar, either left or right-hand side, depending on which version of Wrike you're using. Click the drop-down, go to settings, navigation shifts to the left-hand side. You'll see custom item types listed there. If you don't have access to this and you do have access to a space and you are an admin of that space, you can go to the space settings and there you will also see custom item types listed. The interface is very, very similar and you can create those there.
I'll interject you here, Kim, if I could, please. What are the differences between, what is essentially the difference between a space custom item type and an account custom item type?
Oh yeah, great question. So here I'm an admin of the entire account. You can think of that as like being an admin of Earth, right? Like I get to choose what we're going to breathe air, we're going to have water, there's trees and earth and all that stuff going on, right? Administering the Wrike account environment. When it comes to going in at the space level, though, that is my own little enclosed little ecosystem. So you can think of the events team space as like the rainforest or the Andes Mountains or the ocean, right? Little ecosystems that have their own way of working. They have their own way of talking about things and processes and ways of doing stuff, but everybody still has air to breathe and water to drink, right? So here, when we're in the space, and if you're an admin of the space, you'll see the space overview section. From there, gear icon. In the gear icon, you will see a lot of the similar configuration items that we saw when we were at the account level, right? So we've got custom item types, workflows, custom fields, request forms. At the space level, we have those as well. So this is like saying, well, I'm the controller of the rainforest ecosystem, and I'm going to say frogs are the best, and we need lots of water and trees and rivers and stuff, and that's the way it's going to go down. And so we do that at the space level, where we can come in and create custom item types here. Hope that was
So I guess to continue your analogy, if I'm in the Sahara Desert, I don't necessarily care about the Andes waterfalls and that sort of stuff. I don't care about those custom item types. I don't need necessarily to have them.
absolutely. Yeah, thanks. That's absolutely right.
Perfect. Thanks, Kim.
Sure thing. So let's make one, right? So create a custom item type. Remember, building blocks of the universe, tasks and projects. It is imperative that we know deep inside of our hearts the difference between a task and a project, because when it comes to configuring items like this, it's really important. Let's stick with a task type, because this is a reporting item that I'm about to create that goes inside of the event, right? So projects are containers and tasks are the things that go inside. Just like in the real world, we would never be able to put take a folder and put it inside of a piece of paper, right? Pieces of paper go inside folders. Let's give it a name, reporting. Nothing is written in stone and Wrike. If I decide I don't like this, I can come back and change it at any time, right? Speaking of changing, let's give it a different icon so we don't get it confused with the ones that are tasks. I think this guy's pretty cool. Go ahead and create an edit. Once we get to the CIT, there's some slang for you, some Wrike slang. Once we get to the CIT area, there is no save button. Once it's configured and you click the button, it's there and it affects whatever else is out there leveraging this particular identity of reporting. So upper left-hand corner, we have the icon. We can change the name. We can add a description if we like. Right now, this is account-wide access. So hey, errors for everyone. Doesn't matter if you're in the Amazon or if you're in the Sahara, right? Quick access. You guys notice when we're in this area, we've got a little drop down, right? This is quick access right there. So if you want that, sorry for all the clicking around. If you want that available, that's what that is. You can choose the workflow for these, default workflows. So depending on how you configure stuff, I'm going to stick with default for now, just because I know it's not an event. I know it's not planning. Additionally, we have the ability to choose sub items. Because this is a task identity, we can make sub tasks if we want to. Now remember, subtasks, those are the same thing as regular tasks. We're just like stapling them together, right? We're creating a relationship there. Same here. Do you want this unique reporting item to have a relationship with other items like emails or go live dates or whatever the case may be? What's nice about this is that depending on your process, you might say, no, report is a report. A bug is a bug. There is no additional stuff that goes into that. And you want to lock that down. Well, turn off all the toggles. And guess what? No sub items for you. Okay. Let's shift our attention over into the blue area here and we can see the configuration. If there's an eyeball, that means you'll see it. If there's Braille, that means you can move it. So here, for example, I recommend keeping those pretty much the same. But if I don't like author, I can move it down to the bottom or I can hide it. If I hide it, it goes into the hidden field area and we don't ever see it when we're walking around inside the system. Okay, so there's the basics of that. You'll see manage automations rule here is in the lower left corner, and that's my tease to join the next session because we're going to walk through that. All right. So here we have reporting. It's made, it's in the universe, it's in the ecosystem. We can now go and use it inside of our blueprint. So here we have our blueprint. I'm just going to hit refresh just in case. Whenever I make something new inside the system like this, I want to make sure we refresh the system. I'm going to come down here where it says plus item. And here we can see, oh gosh, there it is. I have to search for it. There is the reporting custom item type that we just created. So maybe here I want to do a Wrike analyze report as our postmortem follow up. And you'll see right away the event type is reporting. We can see that listed here. And now I can come into my custom fields and make sure that I've pre-baked this into the template. That way I get my reporting is clean and robust. And anytime somebody comes in here and creates one of these events, right, let's reschedule this No, I want to go September 5th. Go ahead and reschedule this template out for the beginning of the month. We're going to notify everybody that we're ready to get working. We're going to go create this item. Do a little dance while we wait. There are a couple options here, right? I could have used a prefix. So if there is an event name that you guys use, you could have that come in through the system as well. Here we see my new project, super happy. We can see it's an incoming events folder. You can see the title of the name here. You can see all of our custom fields that we had pre-selected are here as well. And our new item, Wrike Analyze Report, is hanging out at the bottom. What do you think, Alex?
Thank you so very much. Hey, I'm really looking forward to this event. There's a bit going on there.
It's going to be a good time.
Yeah, thank you so very much, Kim, for putting all of that through, putting that together. I guess it's also important to note that events, ways to be able to kick off such events could also be through request forms where you might ask the right questions of who's the audience and all that sort of stuff we might care about our reporting for later. Or consider it having integrated with other solutions that you might have internally so that, once you've got your deal done, an event gets created. So let me hit share screen. Thank you, by the way, as well. It seems like we've answered questions as they've come through. So there's nothing I've got to add or no other questions for you at this point. But I wanted to take a little moment here to make everybody aware of the fact that there's a whole bunch of people around them, and that there's a lot of folks around Wrike that are here to help you out and make sure that you get the most out of our solution. There's a customer success manager who's there to ensure that you're seeing value out of the solution on day to day and make sure that Wrike is working as efficiently and as effectively as possible. There's our support team who's there and available to you to make sure that it's working all the time, right? If you can't log in for whatever reason, or it seems like it isn't quite loading as quickly as you might want it to, support team's there to help answer any of those kinds of questions. You will have hopefully been to our help page. There is an article on practically every single bit of functionality. All the stuff that Kim has taken us through today, there is an article on every single bit of that there. And of course, there's our community forum where we encourage you to join and have a conversation about some of your best practices, share some of your tips, suggestions, and hear from other people about how they're using Wrike and going about putting events together in Wrike. There's also Wrike Discover, which I should hope you know about because it's how you got here, I guess. So thanks for coming along through our learning management platform. And of course, there's account managers who are there to help from typically a billing and logistics standpoint. But of course, they're also there to kind of help us put you in touch with our professional services team. And so I want to take a moment here to call out these guys because they're absolute legends. If you love the work that's been done here today, and from the exceptional work that Kim's put together of putting together in this event, if you've gone through a session like this today and you're thinking, you know what, I'm still not sure how to go about doing that, or I'm not sure I've got the time to be able to put any of that together in my solution, our professional services teams are professionals in they're experts in what they do, right? You saw how Kim put that event together. We can help you put that sort of stuff together in your instance very quickly, very easily. And we're there to make sure that you get rapid results out of Wrike so that you ultimately get ROI on the solution much sooner. They will help you tailor an onboarding and training solution. There's change management that comes with implementing a new platform or any kind of new process, essentially, and they're professionals in putting that sort of stuff together. And of course, we're there to make sure that you improve your team collaboration, effective implementation, and streamline your workflow to give you greater efficiencies. Kim, have I got everything there? Do you think there's anything else I need to call out? I mean, there's so much that comes, but you tell me.
Nice. We're friendly and nice, and we don't bite. So I guess that's it.
Definitely a bonus. And on that note, I just want to say a big thank you to everybody who's joined us today. Really appreciate you all for coming along today. And we'll see you on our next session. And for part 2, where we'll start going through automations and how to be able to visualize these events in calendars and things like that. So looking forward to that, Kim. Thank you.
Cheers, everyone. Bye.